Back here live at the debate prep with my friend, the zombie Kamala Harris. You're looking good, Kamala. Just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
All right, you're a great zombie. All right, you're a great zombie. Good times here at the debate prep. Ready for September 10th?
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. So Kamala Harris is heading into debate prep. Like she's going to face the final boss in a video game. She's locking herself in debate camp for a week in Pennsylvania because why not hibernate where the action is? I guess Harris's goal is to relearn how to debate without overanalyzing every pixel of Trump's argument. Meanwhile, Trump, fresh off of constant rallies, constant press coverage, he's also ready to throw some massive haymakers. While Kamala is doing mock debates and analyzing Trump's past performances and learning what her actual policies are and the policies that she's been given, good luck with that. Trump is probably prepping to do something a little bit more presidential, like actually knowing his policies. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. Before we jump into the first video, I got some exciting news for you guys. Just launched a merch store where you can pick up pretty sweet tees just like this one, Trumpomania, and a few other designs. You can see the link in the description below. There's a few other designs that are launched as well. You can use the discount code below the link to get a pretty sweet discount. Let's jump into the video.
Day one of debate camp for Kamala, and the camp counselors are tormenting her. For the last 5 days and nights, Harris will be locked down in a cabin in Pittsburgh. Insiders say her prep will be akin to Biden's week-long session at Camp David. Full-out mock debates, but they'll start earlier than Biden's, and there will be fewer naps. She'll have no breaks. Harris has to hold it. Back-to-back 90-minute mock sessions with no interruption. The Clintons are telling her what to say. Watch.
My hero, my pal, my former boss, Bill Clinton, had it right at the convention. Don't count the lies, count the eyes. The back half of Kamala's answer to you is right. Yes, he's a fighter, but he fights for himself. It should be one of the through lines in this debate for Kamala Harris is I'm for the people, Trump's for himself.
Yeah, she's for the people, just not the American people. They're even assigning Harris homework, but they're already running into problems. Kamala keeps wanting to talk through all of the policies with her handlers. And her handlers are saying, no, Kamala, here's the briefing binder. You study it, then we'll do the mock debate. We're not going to spend hours telling you what your policies are. You're going to have to read the binder. We're hearing that Harris has been poring over briefing binders for 2 months because she's just learning for the first time what her policies are.
Ouch.
And now insiders say she's careening sideways. Kamala has been derailing her prep by focusing too narrowly on minute details, according to 2 people behind the scenes. Kamala is having a hard time learning what happened the last 4 years. And this debate's not going to be about her favorite topics like electric school buses and outer space. She's like the girl who skipped class all semester and then pulls an all-nighter before the final. Democrats already lowering expectations. After ABC confirmed the mics will be muted, the Harris campaign's whining.
I think what's really challenging and unfortunate about this debate format is that it limits the vice president's ability to prosecute the political case against President Trump.
She's complaining that she's at a disadvantage because Trump won't be able to interrupt her. Remember what she pulled with Pence?
Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
Repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking. Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
in.
Yes. Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay.
Okay. Kamala wants to snap her fingers and say, excuse me, don't you dare speak to me like that. I don't care who you are. Kamala wants to be a Karen, but the muted mics that her old man Biden agreed to won't let her. It's like Joe's still sabotaging the Democrats from the grave. But the muted mics was just one of Kamala's demands. Her handlers have been trying to micromanage next Tuesday night like helicopter parents at a play date.
Did they ask for notes? Did they ask for the?
They wanted notes.
They wanted to be seated, and they wanted your mic hot.
And they wanted a desk. They didn't want to do. I said, you got to do a stand up.
After they already agreed to the other.
Yeah, but they wanted a desk from the beginning. You know who else wanted a desk? Sleepy Joe. He wanted a desk.
She wanted notes. She wanted to be seated. And she's not going to get an additional platform to stand on because Donald Trump is significantly taller than her. What do you guys think about this? Drop it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. And here, Harris had the opportunity to take a little bit of a break from her rigorous debate prep, and she happened to stop in at a spice store. And she ran into some press, and they asked her a couple questions. And here's how it went.
Are you ready to face Donald Trump? Yes. What's the one thing you want to really get across to him?
Well, there's a lot, but look, it's time to turn the page on the divisiveness. It's time to bring our country together, chart a new way forward.
That new way forward, I think, is what we'll hear in detail during the debate. The vice president has been poring over briefing books. We understand from two sources here in these extended debate sessions, mock debate sessions that she's been holding since she arrived here in Pittsburgh. We also understand from sources that she intends to not only make the case for herself, explaining to people who she is and what she wants to do in a Harris administration, but also being ready to stand up to former President Trump and any insults that he may lob at her during the course of the debate. You noted some of the things that he said yesterday. There have been many times over the course of the last several weeks that the former president has made comments. It has levied insults against Vice President Harris. And so part of the preparation has been to be ready for that, to be able to stand up to him, and also to sort of talk to any lies that the former president may articulate. The vice president has said that Donald Trump is unburdened by telling the truth. And so part of her
These guys, he's unburdened. I wonder how many times she's going to say unburdened, and we have to do a new way forward. This is ridiculous.
Preparation has been being prepared to come back at him if anything that he says rises to that level of being untrue. And also to sort of talk through, Alex, some of the things that he wanted to do when he was president before that he was not able to make happen, and some of the proposals that he's levied or suggested this time around. And she's going to talk about how those things would be untenable, Alex.
Harris camp is not doing a good job covering for Harris. They are not. Some reports have come out speculatory. New leaks indicate that Kamala Harris camp is in shambles. That if individuals from the Harris camp speak to the media in any capacity, they will immediately be terminated. This is speculatory. Here was some more footage of her at the spice store.
Are you ready to face Donald Trump?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Best part of debate prep for you? What's your favorite?
Being at the spice store, I finally got out of the debate prep to look at these spices. Best part of debate prep so far.
The best part of debate prep so far has been going to the spice store. Kamala Harris says that it's time to turn the page and chart a new way forward. But she hasn't been able to chart a new way forward in 3.5 years, and she is responsible for a lot of American problems today.
And there you see the vice president. She's answering a couple questions. Let's see. Maybe she's talking about the debate.
It's time to turn the page on the divisiveness. It's time to bring our country together, chart a new way forward.
All right, let's go, Brett. I'm sorry, it's been reported.
A spokesperson for the Harris camp went on the offense against criticism against the Democratic presidential candidate lacking media availability and insisted that she will do more interviews as the election approaches. I don't think so. Depending on how this debate is going to turn out with her and Trump on Tuesday, she might just stick her head in the mud.
Is going to happen before next Tuesday that Kamala Harris can do to help try to turn that around before the debate?
Well, I think that we're campaigning really hard and the vice president's sharing her message. I think in the last couple of days, you've seen a lot on the economy. You saw President Trump speaking at the New York Economic Club. You saw Vice President Harris speaking in New Hampshire, and a very different choice for the American people between President Trump, who wants to cut taxes for those at the very top and big corporations, and Vice President Harris, who has a plan to jumpstart small business growth. 25 million small businesses in her first term is her goal, by giving them the resources to get off the ground. This comes on top of her middle-class tax cut that she's running on and campaigning on for the country. And so in the coming days, I think you'll hear us talk a lot more about our economic vision.
But what he would say, I would imagine, is that one, the Trump tax cuts, they would argue that it did not just help the top. And you hear that even from voters who are saying that the Biden-Harris administration over the last 3.5 years has led to a point where now you have 3 months of declining manufacturing job growth. You have retirees as the fastest growing seekers of returning to work at this point because they can't meet their cost of living standards. And Kamala Harris, yes, she says $50,000 to help start a new business. But if you're a retiree, that's not what you're looking for. They're telling us that they want to go back to something that where they can make ends meet at the end of the month. She is going to be pressed on the economy, no doubt. Do you imagine that President Trump and Kamala Harris will figure out a way, like, for example, on the Trump tax cuts? She's flip-flopped on a lot of things. She said she wouldn't want to extend them, but that actually does help the middle class. Would she perhaps agree with him on that, like taxing on tips?
Well, that's a lot to sift through. I think a couple things. First, I would say if you're a senior in this country, I think you're probably more worried about the Project 2025 agenda that might cut your Social Security and Medicare benefits. And when it comes to manufacturing, people forget, even before COVID hit, 2019, we were in a manufacturing recession because of President Trump's policies. So I think when you think about these things that you just mentioned, you have to understand the facts there.
Do you?
I think secondly, when it comes to you asked about the Trump tax cuts. I think the vice president's been very clear that the Trump tax cuts were a disaster for this country. She's focused in a more tailored way on ensuring that the middle class, small businesses and workers get tax relief, as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach like President Trump did and now is promoting doing more of, that slashes taxes overwhelmingly for those at the very top and big corporations. And hope that trickles down to the rest of everybody.
Okay, well, we'll let them.
That's a difference in their economic visions, and I think you'll hear her talk about that on the debate stage.
Okay, Jim Messina was on our show yesterday. Pennsylvania, important state. Obviously, you got to have that in your column, and if you want to get to 270. This is what he said about vulnerabilities for the Harris campaign with older white voters, and we were talking in particular about those retirees. Watch.
Part of her struggle right now is these older white voters where Joe Biden was doing better than she is right now. So she's got to address this, and she did yesterday in her announcement. But you're on to one of the challenges of the election for her, which is these older white voters that love Joe Biden and are still waiting to figure out what to do in this election.
And they haven't heard from her, Ian. I know that she did the speech in New Hampshire, but President Trump, for all the interviews that he's done, he's willing to take questions, everything. Is it a risk to put all your chips on one debate when she hasn't really been able to do any sort of Q&A with anybody except for in debate prep?
Well, I reject that. She sat down with Dana Bash for a long interview on CNN that aired
one interview in 47 days.
Well, you know, I know you guys are just now paying attention to her now that she's the presidential candidate, but she's done about 90 interviews this year as the vice president, and people maybe weren't paying attention or listening. She's taken questions from reporters on the campaign trail so far in this campaign, people who are covering her every single day. She's going to do more interviews and talk to the press more and take more reporter questions. Of course, she's going to do that over the course of this campaign. But I think that she's going to explain to the country on Tuesday night what the difference in this election is and the choice between President Trump and her, and who has the right vision for the future. Are we ready? Are we going to keep doing what Donald Trump's been doing for the last decade? Or are we going to turn the page and look forward to something else?
But Ian, first of all, she hadn't done a lot of interviews. And saying debate prep's going well, yelling that to the pool is not taking questions from the press.
This year.
But here's the last thing, which is, do the American voters not need to hear from her directly? She wants to be the commander in chief. We paid attention to her, and you guys didn't like that either. So the interviews.
It's funny.
Go ahead. I'll give you the last
funny.
one.
I hear the question, and it's funny because it's like you're acting like she's in the witness protection program. She's been traveling across the battleground states, talking to thousands of people in packed arenas, arenas that are much more packed than what President Trump is speaking
And
to.
look, and I think
people
scripted
seeing
interviews
that on the news. They're
scripted
hearing her
speeches are
message.
great. But it's different from doing an interview. And also, she hasn't had to explain why she has done the flip-flop on fracking, the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and now even banning plastic straws.
But Dana, you're Dana, not you, Dana,
yes,
but
I know Dana versus
Dana last week on CNN in a fulsome sit-down interview asked her questions about all those things. So I just think it's inaccurate to say she's not answering these questions. Okay. She sat down and did a long interview last week to explain her positions on these issues and how her views have developed, being the vice president to President Biden, how she's gotten so much done.
Hold up. To say that she sat down for a long interview with CNN and spoke about all of her flip-flopping policies is false. A long interview. Guys, she spoke for a total of 16 minutes. The interview in total was 40 minutes. CNN cut it down to 18 minutes, giving Walz, Tampon-Teasy 2 minutes. Harris spoke 16, Walz spoke 2. And they didn't even release the entire transcript. So to say that she'd sat down for a long, unscripted interview, that is a false claim. Is this what we're going to see next Tuesday at the debate?
So that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid?
What do you guys think about this? Flip-flopping on all her policies and not really addressing the press. All this flip-flopping. You might as well call her Miss Chancla. If you don't know what a chancla is, you can ask the Venezuelan gangs that infiltrated the Aurora, Colorado apartment complex. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Smash the like button, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.